So hello coders, MacBook season is here. Today I'm going to show you how to be 10x developer with MacBook, showing you all the apps I use every single day because 99% of the coders right now don't know how to use AI efficiently, showing you 10 plus apps and my 10x productivity workflow on MacBook Air M4 chip because this is now more powerful than my 3 years old M1 Pro MacBook. So dosto, this is a revolutionary moment. There cannot be a better MacBook than this M4 chip MacBook Air. I got a 15-inch for programming. Do you know why? Because 3.5 years ago, I got this 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro, but this is heavier and slower now than this beast, more powerful and bigger and lighter in weight. Let's check out. I am so excited for this sky blue, which looks silver or kind of sky blue. So this is 16GB memory. So for AI features on MacBook, you need minimum 16GB of memory. So that's why, to actually encourage you to upgrade, on the base variant, now they have 16 gigs memory, and storage I have 256, which is not enough, but I use SSDs all the time, so it will get the job done for me. So it is around $1,200 after student discount. It's a great price, and especially if I show you, wow, even this paper is sky blue right now. If you see, this looks more gray than blue, but beautiful. Okay. Let's remove this paper. Mind-blowing. And I'm not going to set up Apple Intelligence because it takes 5 GB storage. So let's set up that later. Okay, first of all, storage. The moment you turn on your MacBook, you see around 205 GB storage. If you click on storage settings, click on Mac OS, you will still see 5 GB. So 5 GB you have to give away to Apple Intelligence. And if someone is upgrading to MacBook after a long time, you will see mute button much better now. Of course, it obviously looks like a mute button now. And the camera, oh my god, high contrasty, much more detail. Now it is time to set up this MacBook Air. I'm going to show you the coolest way to set this up for programming. But before setting it up, I want to show you the coolest part of this MacBook. I can hold it literally from the corner, super lightweight, and it is much lighter than this 14-inch MacBook, which is so bulky. Even though it's smaller, this is heavier and less powerful than this MacBook Air. Plus, this is the base variant. This will cost you $1,100 or around like 90,000 rupees in India with student discounts. Starting with the first category of apps is browser. I'm going to install 2 browsers. Number 1, Chrome, which is the most popular browser in the world. And number 2, Arc browser, which is Chromium based. And the features will amaze you. So first of all, look at the theme music. Arc browser is my favorite browser for multiple reasons. I have made a dedicated video on this as well. Number 1 reason is it has AI features, AI summary. Plus, at the same time, this browser allows me to hide unrelated content on any website. For example, I use Twitter a lot, but I don't want to get distracted with news. I can, within one click, I can zap it or remove it. Other than that, it's a beautiful browser, so easy to handle bookmarks. And the first thing I usually do in my browser is set up site search. With site search, I can just literally type Amazon and hit tab, and it will allow me to search from the tab screen, saving me an extra click. You can set up site search using this tutorial. That's all for browsers now. Let's start with productivity apps. Number 1, RayCast. The default spotlight search on Mac is slow and doesn't understand you as user. RayCast keeps indexing the apps you use the most, is faster. Now with RayCast, the moment I hit Safari, it shows up. I hit enter, it opens. Moment I hit Safari, I do command enter, it shows up in folder. And with RayCast, I can do much more. I can do calculation 2 plus 2. I can even open clipboard history, and all the things I copied today, including images, are here, and I can do command enter, copy it again, and put it in my notes folder. So let's say I open my notes folder and then paste it, even screenshots. Next productivity app you need is shottr, my favorite screenshot app that allows you to blur text add arrows with minimum clicks, and also recognize as text with OCR. Last productivity app before we start coding is Bartender, using which I can visualize my CPU temperature and my menu bar and customize menu bar, especially for MacBook Air with no fan. Watching the temperature is important. I watch the SSD too, as 256 GB storage is not enough. Now let's start with coding. First app is Homebrew, the package manager which allows you to install with one click, like brew install Python and brew install Git. Make sure to copy these two lines and paste in terminal once it's finished. Now let's install Git using brew. Now before coding any projects, right click on your home directly. For example, Harnoor Singh for me, right click, new folder, create a folder called developer. It'll get a hammer sign automatically. You can pin it to the side so you can access desktop, all of these. And by default, there's no path bar. So do view and then show path bar. So you can click through these paths and it's easier to walk through. And now here you can create a new project to start coding. Now let's start with cloning a repo. I copied this GitHub link. I'm going to just clone this random repo, git clone, paste link. But if you notice, the terminal looks boring. So I am going to install app called OhMyZSH, with which terminal becomes colorful and you can see branch. But I am GUI person. I like to see and click. So I prefer GitHub Desktop. Now let's install Code Editor, my favorite editor called Cursor AI. And it is paid $20. But if you have to pay for just one subscription, I'll choose Cursor AI only. And you can also choose Windsurf, which is $10 right now on a sale. But this Cursor AI, I use every single day for my personal projects. So if I have to show you, for example, how to visualize code, I personally, let's say, change this file. Let's say I add two spaces, add semicolon. I personally do not like terminal. I can do git status. I don't like this view, like, you see modified this file. I personally prefer GitHub Desktop. I can see these are the lines I added, or I prefer in Cursor AI, you can basically visualize by going to source control. So you can just click help. On help, you can search for basically any app, any function, click on source control, and then you can see that, oh, you added these two lines. You can see the history of what lines you added. And these are the two lines you added. If you removed anything, it'll show you as red. So this is a great visualizer in Cursor AI, VS Code, or you can use GitHub Desktop as well. So all are pretty good visualizers. Next two apps as an Android developer, iOS developer, have to be Android Studio and Xcode. And these are heavy apps. So that's why I'll recommend at least getting 512 GB storage, because these apps install natively on your MacBook. Now, this is a revolutionary moment. 5 years ago, I ditched my MacBook Pro Intel chip for a MacBook Air. Now I'm ditching MacBook Pro once again, 3.5 years old, for a MacBook Air, because Air is getting more powerful, beating the older MacBook Pros, and that's how this becomes a revolutionary moment. The cost of computing for video editors, programmers have gone drastically down in the last 5 years since Apple invented their silicon chip. So I am very grateful. I'm gonna trade in this MacBook. This MacBook ke liye, Apple is giving me $700. This MacBook is around $1,200 after taxes. So for $400, so that's why it is possible for you to ditch your Pro computers for an Air once again. Now the moment of truth. I have opened all the apps you can think of: Final Cut Pro, Android Studio, Xcode, an app running as well, Hello World app running. And can you guess how much storage I have remaining? The truth is, right now I have just 99 GB left. Just with apps, development environment, that's it. And if I start editing videos on it, 100 GB will just be capable of having one project. So that's why I think 256 GB without an external SSD is impossible to maintain. I'll have all the SSDs, app recommendations in the description below. Look at how cool the Notch looks. Like, Notch is submerged with Bartender. So these are my app recommendations. Overall, this is hands down the best MacBook you can have for development. Be cautious with storage and be cautious with heating issues. Otherwise, I cannot be more grateful for it. So happy to have it.